I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, Velocities in Music, the best kept secret in music reviews. Today, we're going to review the a new artist, a Swedish artist called Indians. The album's called Somewhere Else. And this is one that Tom and I had on our list of just artists. We have a big list now of albums that are coming out in 2013 that we need to check out. Then we rank them and stuff like that. So I checked out, you know, Indians was on the list. I previewed it and I was like, whoa, there's something going on here. And I listened to it again and I was like, whoa, there's something really cool going on here. So it got bumped up on the list, and then Tom listened to it, and I think that we have kind of a special debut album here.
Yeah.
Indians is an artist. It's it's kind of the brainchild of just one guy, whose name, you know, I apologize. I'm not even gonna try it because I just can't pronounce it. We're from Iowa. We're terrible at pronouncing anything. But anyways, I mean, it's very indie, kind of has an indie folk, indie pop vibe to it, just layered in this thick production that's just full of reverb.
A lot of reverb, yeah.
Now, Tom, how would you describe this sound more than that, though?
Well, I mean, to me, as far as the presentation of it, at first, well, and mostly this is because of the vocals, I would almost call it like a more lo-fi, kind of washy, less poppy version of the Shins.
Yeah.
I think that the guy's voice sounds quite a bit like James Mercer, only it's a lot more toned down and not as exuberant.
Yeah.
But that's what it was about to me, is just the big reverb.
And it's a good point. I didn't even think about that. But the falsetto, it's totally a match. Good call. Good call, buddy.
Well, thanks. I get things right sometimes.
Falsetto yourself.
Okay.
Oh, God. Anyways, keep going.
Okay, that was bad. Anyways, yeah, so I think one thing I want to point out right now is that we are probably going to give this a higher score than any review I've seen of this debut album. People are kind of lukewarm on it, and I think that it deserves more than that, and I know that you do as well. And here's why. I think that it's easy on first listen to pass this off and overlook it as just another kind of washed out indie band. You know, and washed out is in the sound. Obviously, they haven't been around long enough to really become washed out in that term.
Or sound like the band Washed Out.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, God, that term means so many things now. It's frustrating. But I think that once you examine the songwriting, think about what they're doing with the songs, the different instrumentation they're using, why everything's put together the way it is, you'll find that production and presentation of the sound, it really complements the songwriting, and it's really necessary. I think if they had done it any other way, it wouldn't pull all of the feeling out of the songs the way it does.
Yeah, and I think that the strengths of this album really rest in that songwriting. I mean, while it does sound minimalistic, once you start tearing through that production and really getting down to the bare bones, how is this guy writing these songs, you hear a lot of really interesting chord progressions, and the way that he structures these songs to where they have these different parts within them, but his vocal parts are just exceptionally good, and a lot of really good vocal melodies. But another thing I love is just the variety that's presented here. You have these songs like Bird that you know are a bit more melancholic and a bit just kind of more moody and dark. But then you go into like tracks like I Am Haunted and Cake Lakers, which are very much more on that acoustic folk side. And you
almost kind of Bon Iver.
Absolutely, absolutely. And but yet they show a lot of diversity in the sound. So you have almost a brand of what Indian sound is. But then once you start getting into it and like taking it apart, you realize that there's actually a lot of variety within it. So it's a really cool take on this album. Personally, I think that the last two tracks really are what turned me on, and I will turn most people on if they get into this album, because track 9, Melt, and then track 10, Somewhere Else, just some of the, you know, the textures that you hear in that, but more importantly, how this guy is you know, emoting through his vocals. I mean, it's really easy to connect with. The last track, Somewhere Else, is incredible, and I mean, it's just, it's a gripping track, and you just really feel exactly what he intended for you to feel, which was what, you know, obviously what he was feeling in creation of that track. So I'm very pleased with it as an album.
Yeah, this one thing I really like about it and respect about this album too is I feel like Indians is able to do more with less. One way that I like to think about music, I'll take a second to explain because it wouldn't really make any sense if I didn't. But you know, I'm a recording artist. I do a lot of stuff with recording music, and so I think of songs both horizontally and vertically. Vertically in relation to, if you were looking at it in some recording software, how many tracks would be happening at any one given point. and horizontally as the song, you know, versus time as the song plays out, how many different sections does it have? Where are they taking the song? You know, is it pretty simple? Is it pretty short? Is it longer and more expansive? What I think is cool is that these songs are vertically fairly simple. I don't think there's actually too many layers going on. It's just about the effects that he puts on them. It's not, you know, it's not the number of tracks. It's what you do with them.
Right.
It's not,
oh.
There you go.
Oh.
So I think that what they've done is produce them in a perfect way, and also between songs, you know, he's not using the exact same sound palette on each one. You know, he might be putting a similar reverb on them, things of that nature, but then the way it plays into the bigger picture is completely different.
And then just on top of it, I find that, you know, I can dig apart and find, you know, logical reasons as to why I like this album as much as I want, but when it comes down to it, when I get done listening to this album, I want to start it over again. I want to listen to it again. That's a trait not many albums have anymore. When you review music and listen to as much music, I know there's a lot of you guys out there that listen to a ton of music, probably more than Tom and I do, since we have to listen to the same album, you know, multiple times to really understand it. You know, when you listen to a lot of music, I mean, it's really hard to find something that you, or really rare to find something that you just want to listen to over and over again. So that's something that I gotta just love about this album. It's just kind of a bleak reality that, you know, debut albums have a tougher time getting attention and getting people to like really give them a high score, because I think that, you know, there's not that inherent programming that, hey, I should like this because they have their predecessor albums.
Well, and while you saw something special in this from first listen, I know I sure didn't. I was just kind of like, yeah, it's all right, but it's really about getting past that sound and understanding the songwriting, and if you don't give it enough listens to do that, then you're probably not going to get much out of this album. Now, you might not anyways, even if you do listen to it a lot. It just depends on if you get into this sound and appreciate the feeling and mood that the Indians is going for.
Yeah, it's definitely an indie sound. It's definitely something that is, if you're looking for kind of an emotional piece, this is a good one, but also, you know, something that has a good atmosphere and good mood. This is a great debut album, and I think the best part is just looking to see what's going to happen with this group in the future. I'm loving this thing. I'm at an 85.
I'm going 82.
So mid-80s from Velocities in Music. That means you guys have to check this one out. Indians, Somewhere Else. Go check it out. Tell us what you think at www.velocitiesinmusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesinmusic. As always, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. That's where we get to talk with you guys, and you get to tell us what albums from 2013 you want us to review. Please leave us a comment and start a conversation. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIM TV, moving music critique forward.